was working on a community engagement program that involved doing a little bit of research on a couple of women who were in local Goldfields history. And while I found them absolutely fascinating, I also realised I couldn't find a lot of information, and for some of the names I was given, I couldn't find any information, and clearly these were women who had made an impact, and that's when I realised that there was quite a lot of gaps in our local history and that women's contributions weren't exactly recognised as much as some of the other contributions. And at the end of that particular project, I stood up in the room and said, well, this is the problem. I think someone needs to address it. It's not going to be me, but I'm putting the challenge out there. And the next morning I woke up and I had an idea and I thought, right, it's going to be me. So but I couldn't do it by my own. I spoke to Linda and told her about this seed of an idea. And she had more ideas, and we then spoke with Kelly and Carol, and it bloomed from there. And then we were talking with Gloria at the Goldfields Women's Healthcare Centre, who was very excited to back the project. From there, a tiny seed became the the mammoth project that 130 women became.
So looking into the past and the story of the Goldfields, there seems to be lots of stories about what the men have done, and the women don't get recognised in a lot of places. Even sometimes some things that were achieved actually was a woman that did it, and it's a man that's been recognised. You look at the street signs, they're all the names of the men, the pioneers of the Goldfields, but they wouldn't have been here without the women by their sides and the women who came as their own pioneers and made a huge impact on the culture and place of the Goldfields.
I'm Kelly Akaro. I'm a textile artist, so the nature of textile art is very linked in with history of women. Textiles are very important to women's history and our general culture in the way that we celebrate life events in terms of wedding dresses, christening gowns and everything like that. So the idea of celebrating women's history as a textile artist was really exciting to me.
12 months ago we put a call out for people who wanted to nominate or include, we called it, inclusions of women that they thought needed to be recognised, to have the light shone on them and how they contributed to the Goldfields. We received inclusions from far and wide, some from locally, some from nationally, even some international people jumped in and gave us some inclusions. And a real diversity of people from right back from 1900 through to present day, who we thought were important pioneers of the Goldfields way. And we've then done some research, created some stories about them. We created a booklet with 130 women's stories, and we've then selected 13 featured women to represent those 13 decades of Kalgoorlie-Boulder and also different pockets of our culture. So we go from politics to popular culture, to conservation, even to the lady who made ice cream in the desert in 1910. So there's quite a mix there of how women have contributed to, I just got goosebumps, to our culture.
My name is Carol Thompson. I've been working with 130 women for the last year. I came on board towards the end. The other three had already talked about the project and decided to ask me if I would like to be involved. I guess I was a bit overwhelmed initially, especially the night of the auction where my guitar had got a nice price for it, and I was very surprised, very humbled.
So one of the things I think has really worked and surprised me with this exhibition is the fact that we were able to create a theme and a sense of belonging for each of the women. People walk into the room and then they get that actual sense of the place and the time period that woman lived in and a bit of their personality. It's not just a portrait of what that person looked like and a story of what they did. It's the little micro stories that people remember that makes the whole story of who that person was.
While the launch is the culmination of 12 months worth of work and what everybody sees, for myself especially, and I believe for the other artists as well, it was once we started collecting the stories right back at the start that we started to feel an impact, because every story was special in some particular way. We learnt something new, we learned about somebody new and the effect that they had on family members or community members or on our history. And we also made a point of recognising women who are still in our community and still working, because we kind of thought with the whole point of the project is to recognise women's contributions. Well, we should be doing that for the people who are doing that every day amongst us now as well.
It was an absolute honour to be a part of this project, and to be honest, it was so rewarding to see people walk in and cry. It was great to see the laughing, to see the memories, people reminiscing. I remember my mum used to have this, and things like that. And then for people to get to our modern day women and go, oh yes, of course, that's 100% part of the Goldfields, and it wouldn't be the same without them here.
It's really important that we start to record more of women's history and acknowledge that women did a lot of the hard work and also did a lot of work beside their husbands, working as professionals. A lot of charities that run today were actually set up by women and wouldn't be around if it wasn't for the hard work that they did.
I really, really loved the fact that you could bring them to life as such, because that's something that you want to do. You can read a story in a book, but to have a visual of it as well, I think in our way as an artist is pretty amazing as well, to the point where they've been quite emotional, and I think that to me is impactful. It means that we've done our job, what we've set out to do.
The overwhelming support from the community was incredible. It's also really nice that we had a chance to give back to the community. All of the artworks that we have created and the props and vintage bits and pieces that we have collected to create each woman's room, we've been able to sell them with proceeds going to a different charity that's been allocated to what that woman was about. So we've got 13 different fundraisers also happening at the same time. So it's great to have all the help from the community, but also give back to the community.
A project like this can't be done alone, and it can't just be done with 4 people either. We engaged over 80 creatives. We had just as many volunteers. Many people did multiple roles. Big thank you to Gloria and her team at Goldfields Women's Healthcare Centre, because they were the original people who championed us, and we could not have delivered this project without their support. To all our sponsors, to everybody who contributed a story, and everyone who just followed along. Projects like these don't happen in a vacuum. They need a lot of support, and we had that support.